Hey guys, this is the Unveil Podcast with DJ Wavy.
Yo, this is DJ Wavy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Unveil Podcast, bringing you news, sports, business, culture, basically anything Caribbean, right here on YouTube. I'm DJ Wavy, of course. You guys could check me out on Instagram at @theofficial_Javon Thomas for some pretty dope stuff. All right, so before we get into this week's episode, we got a few things that we need to get out of the way, okay? First, let's talk about this. I don't know if you guys saw it, but this here says justice for the Henry Boys and Haresh Singh. Now this is a story that happened in Guyana, and it really speaks to the level of racism that we still have here in the Caribbean. I know a lot of people think that, you know, racism is more prevalent in places like Europe and the States, maybe Asia, but trust me, racism is still very much in the Caribbean. So let me give you a little bit on the story. What happened is these two guys, the Henry Boys, they were walking through a farm in one of the rural parts of Guyana, and the owners of that farm, it's alleged, of course, it's alleged that the owners of the farm tied these guys up to their horses and dragged them through the fields, and then after that they carved their skulls. I mean, it's some real gruesome stuff, right? So we just wanna make you guys aware of what is going on. You guys could check the story out on any Caribbean news website, right? Secondly, I promised you guys last week that I am going to show you why they call me DJ Wavy. So without further ado, check this out. Did it reach? It reach over there?
No!
Alright, so that's the drip, guys. Now I know a lot of y'all professional wavers out there probably hating, like, oh, he still got all kind of forks, he don't even have a closed crown. Don't hate, bro, okay? Don't hate. Y'all don't do it like me. Alright, one more thing we have to get out of the way. Now last week I was telling you guys an interesting fact before we went into the feature, so I'm gonna use that today. So let's go straight into the Did You Know and Interesting Facts section. So today's interesting fact for the Caribbean. Did you know that the world's shortest airstrip is found in the Caribbean island of Saba? And that airstrip is about 1,300 feet. 1,300 feet. I did say feet. That's about 350 meters. Now, I don't know about you, but that's one Caribbean island that will not be seeing me, bro, because there's no way you could have a runway that's only 360 meters long. And on top of that, to make it worse, this runway is on a cliff. Like, there's a cliff at the beginning of the runway and a cliff at the end of the runway. So imagine you trying to land, and the pilot, you know, mistakenly, he put the wheels down too far into the runway. I think we know what's gonna happen. So that's one island. I'm sorry if Saba have like a prime minister or president, bro. not coming there. But the interesting fact from last week, right? Now I need some science people to explain to me how this works. So last week I found out that astronauts have to pee, they have to urinate every 2 hours or something like that. And this is because the gravity in space doesn't allow them to feel urine, so they don't know when they have to pee. So my follow-up question to that is, folks, if you don't know when you have to pee, what about what about number 2? Like, I need a Caribbean astronaut or aspiring astronaut to hit us up on Instagram at Unveil, and please answer this question for me. You think that you guys gonna, I don't know how much times do you have to use the bathroom to take a you know what I mean? But all right. So that's it for the interesting facts. Good luck with that. I wonder if y'all just have to learn that in astronaut school or something. That's crazy. But right now we're gonna go into the what's going on section. Plenty things going on in the Caribbean right now. At the top of the list, we have the Antigua and Barbuda. Their government is threatening Barbados, and they're saying that they're going to take them to CARICOM because of the measures due to the pandemic. Now it says here, the Antigua and Barbuda government has given Barbados until the end of Tuesday of this week past to indicate why it has placed the island on a list of countries deemed medium risk. Now, if this isn't the most petty, this is very petty, guys. So basically, the Antiguan government is upset with the Barbadian government because Barbados put Antigua on a list, of medium risk. So that means that anybody coming in from Antigua to this day still has to go through a 14-day quarantine before they can, do anything else in the country. Now, me personally, I don't have a problem with this. It's the people's country, bro. If that's what they ask, that's what they ask. You guys don't need to go to grandparent CARICOM for that. Come on, man. Coming up in the news, John Bresenio sworn in as the new Prime Minister of Belize. And that happened this week. Bresenio led the PUP to a landslide victory on Wednesday's general election, defeating the ruling United Democratic Party that had been seeking an unprecedented fourth consecutive term in office. I feel like the Caribbean is one of the only places in the world where you see governments running the country for years. I mean, when I think about Guyana, they had the what is it called, bro? What's the party that was in power for like 25 years?
20 years, PPP.
PPP, huh? PPP. PPP was in power for 20 years in Guyana. That's crazy. 20 plus. And them kind of stuff, I don't think them kind of stuff happens elsewhere. CARICOM, y'all need to look into that. Caribbean Tourism Organization launches Caribbean Awaits campaign. Now, the CTO has announced on social media that this campaign, which is being run in conjunction with member countries, aims to maintain the Caribbean's prominence as a place of solace as the pandemic continues to impact the global travel and the tourism industry. And I think this is actually pretty neat because a lot of us flying back home anyway because of this pandemic. So they might as well do something with it. And last but not least, of course, vaccines must be a part of Jamaica's pandemic fight. I know the Jamaican people don't want to hear that from Mr. Tufton right now, but it says here that Dr. Christopher Tufton says that with more than 9,600 infections and 225 deaths, related to the pandemic in Jamaica. The use of a vaccine has to form a part of the country's fight against the coronavirus. And people, I mean, that's only fair. I am pretty sure the Jamaican population won't be happy about that, won't be excited about it at all, because them want to kill off people with a vaccine. it's that's just what it is. Well, so they may say. Sorry guys, Unveil and the Unveil team, we don't believe that the vaccine is going to be used to kill people, okay? Disclaimer, we do not believe the vaccine will be used to kill people. Now to the news in sports. The Mumbai Indians, led by Trinidadian Kieron Pollard, also the skipper for West Indies in the limited over format, cruised to a 5-wicket win over the Delhi Capitals in the IPL finals for their fifth title win since the inception of the league in 2007. So Mumbai Indians, one of the big cricketing teams, they're doing pretty well, continuing to do well. Big ups to the Trinidadians. I know all of them was watching that. They love their cricket, boy. Staying in cricket, the West Indies cricket team on tour in New Zealand was ordered by the New Zealand government to stay confined to their hotels after disobeying pandemic protocols. Honestly, I'm not even surprised about this. I mean, you have an entire team of West Indians, you know, people coming from Jamaica, Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad, basically a bag of unruly people, and I'm pretty sure they wanted to fet. So that's just one of those things. I just hope those guys have enough discipline the next time and, you know, focus more on the tournament. And guys, have your fun after the games are done. All right. The Reggae Boys stalwart Andre Blake led his LMS outfit, the Philadelphia Union, to a MLS title win, the first major title win in the team's history. Now, MLS is the Major League Soccer, and that's the National Football League in the States. So congrats to Mr. Blake, taking his team to the first win in history. Well done. Good job by a Jamaican talent. And to round things off, the Reggae Boys lost on Saturday, November 14th, to Saudi Arabia. I guess I spoke too fast. 3-0 in a shocking upset. I mean, that is very shocking. Saudi Arabians play football? I thought they just, like, you know, drive around in expensive cars and, you know, they just use camels and stuff. Rich people type of vibe. I didn't know they just play football. And we lose to them? That's crazy, man. But that's it for the news this week. Thanks to Theodore for the sports news. Keep them coming, bro. Keep them coming. Now we're going to move on to what is trending. And then later on in our show, we have our feature coming up. So what happened this week? Diwali was celebrated this week in the Caribbean, and that is a holiday celebrated by the Hindus, you know, with lights, lamps, the whole nine, basically the festival of lights. And to celebrate with our Hindu viewers, here at the Unveil Studios, we added a little extra flair to the lights, you know, just to show our support. Landslides and rain storms in the Caribbean going crazy right now. We have seen a lot of landslides, especially in Jamaica. A lot of flooding. The Weather Channel actually predicts that this year the hurricane season is gonna extend into January. First time in a very long time. So you guys, you know, look out for that. Make sure you guys stay safe. Do what it is you have to ensure that you're not a victim of, I don't even know what to say. I mean, there isn't much you can do when flood waters come in, but you guys just try to stay safe. All right. So coming up now, we have our feature segment with a very special guest. His name is Kristofferson Nunes, and he is one of the big shots out here in Jamaica. But before we get to that, we're gonna hear from a word from our sponsors.
Parents and teachers, are you having difficulties finding the best creative writing tool for your child or student? Well, look no further. Creative Expressions is exactly what you need. Teachers, this book is the perfect tool to help you teach your students punctuation usage, narrative writing, descriptive writing, argumentative writing, and expository writing. Parents, this book will help you to assist your child in reaching their fullest creative writing potential while they're at home and away from the classroom. Creative Expressions is most suitable for children in grades 4 to 6. For more information, if you're in Guyana, call 592-609-5776 or 643-2190 or 674-8954. If you're in St. Martin, call 721-584-3320. Get your copy today.
All right, welcome back. Oh, I almost forgot the question box. Let me just take a look at this before we go into the feature, all right? Last week, y'all had some crazy questions. Oh, by the way, somebody asked about the new incoming VP for the United States. I actually found when I did some extensive research, aka the news channel, I found out that she does actually have, what's her name again? Kamala Harris. Yes, that's her name. Her father is a Jamaican. So to that person who asked last week if her Indian descent gives Jamaican people props, my answer is yes. Question number 1. Do you think the Caribbean creatives are respected enough? This is a pretty good question. I don't think it's a matter of enough respect. I just think that a lot of Caribbean creatives don't go to the extent when it comes to, their content and getting it out there as people from the States, Europe, other parts of the world. I think Caribbean creatives should try just a bit harder, work on the quality of content and just work on getting the stuff out. I think a lot of people want to hear, what is going on in the Caribbean. So it's up to us to actually gain the respect that we deserve. And number 2, do you think there are enough employment opportunities for the youth in the Caribbean? Of course, the Caribbean, I think it's much easier to make a decent living out here in the Caribbean as opposed to other places because, the cost of living isn't as high as other countries. And there's a lot you can do. There are a lot of entrepreneurial, is that the word? Entrepreneurial opportunities. Sorry about that, I got the heavy tongue. Entrepreneurial opportunities that can be found here in the Caribbean. For example, a lot of people make tons of money selling something as simple as Caribbean food, Caribbean crafts. So I think there are a lot of opportunities out here. Number 3, what are your thoughts on colorism in the Caribbean? And that question is coming from moonjuice.baby on Instagram. Very good friend of mine. As we mentioned at the beginning, colorism and racism, it still affects the Caribbean greatly. I mean, I come from a place where blacks are hated by the Indians. And this story, proves that. But all over the Caribbean, there are examples of colorism and racism. I mean, if you ain't nice and brown, ladies, some man don't even want you. So y'all just have to bleach and bare things, but let's hope that it gets better as the years go by. The next question says, are you aware that the African Americans assume that Caribbean people, what? That Caribbean people are better because we have a better culture? I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why they would have to assume something like this. A lot of Caribbeans would pay big money to go to their country, so I don't see why that should be an issue. Final question for today. I think, yeah, this is the final question. Why do the majority of Caribbean people migrate to the States and Canada instead of the UK? And this question is coming in from AF1_Mills, another good friend of mine on Instagram. Thanks for the question, bro. I really don't know the answer to it, though. You know, I think most people go to the States and Canada because it might be a bit easier to go there as opposed to going to Europe. And plus, you know, the money thing, you know how that goes already. Everybody wants a little bit of that US dollar. So that's it for the question box this week. Remember to send in your questions to us on Instagram at Unveil, or you could send them to me on Instagram at the official _Javon_Thomas. So now we move into today's feature segment. And today's featured guest is Mr. Kristofferson Nunes. He is the CEO of UCA Limited, which is a leading youth agency with a track record for offering freelance work and opportunities for over 2,000 students and youth across Jamaica so far. One of the greats from UE here in Jamaica. Chris, welcome to the Unveil Podcast, bro.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invitation, and thanks again.
Yeah, man. We are honestly just thankful for you to be here with us. Thanks for taking all this time. We know you're a busy man, so we're going to get right into it, all right? So,
Sure.
First of all, tell us a little bit about UCLA Limited.
So it's UCA, not UCLA. So UCA is, I started it in my final year at university. This is an idea on the concept of how can I myself get a job. You know, one of the quickest way or easiest way I've found that to happen is how can I offer myself to be a student brand ambassador for brands, so I can, you know, I would say work my way in their company culture, you know, just to prove myself and hopefully get a job. And I've seen that model work for, you know, Red Bull ambassadors. I've seen that work for, you know, the J ambassadors. They have Island Wall, and I wanted to give other brands the opportunity because initially I believe, you know, that 18 to 24 age group is that future generation for future purchases. You know, that's going to be the generation that's going to buy houses, cars, groceries. So the thinking was, if you can market to them at that age and have them as loyal customers at age, you have them for a lifetime. So one of the key research we walked away is, you know, most students, their first bank account tends to be their only bank account or their last bank account. So, you know, banks tend to want to get students if acquired through their culture. So we decided to say, hey, how can we model that concept to other brands and then evolve into we giving students work, because most of these brands tend to have other, I'd say, side projects and other small tasks they may not have internal staff to do or the time to do. So they've outsourced it, and now that outsourcing became what we call the freelance economy in Jamaica. So they tend to outsource other tasks like being a virtual assistant, having somebody to help them in the office, and other activities along the lines.
Well, that's some good stuff, bro. Honestly, I am impressed with how you came up with that idea. So, Chris, you are a 26-year-old CEO, right? When I saw your age, bro, I was shocked. 26-year-old CEO and a family man. What I want to know is, where were you mentally when you first came up with this concept in your dorm room?
My mindset at the time was I was trying to do a lot of things. Meaning that I just wanted to get my hands involved in so many things where I wanted experience.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted experience. Nobody could give me experience but myself. So I reached out to different companies. I volunteered, and it just being around, I would say, different set of persons, thinkers, collaborators, creatives that they exposed me to a level of thinking and a way of earning.
Yeah.
You know, I was exposed to brand managers from early out. For example, most of what I've been doing for UCA, I believe I started at in sixth form, where I even work with small brands, restaurants, you know, helping them with social media, helping them with marketing. And this is just me as a sixth form student.
Yeah.
Either reaching out to either for a small stipend or a small compensation. I remember in sixth form, I helped these restaurants, and in exchange, I said, hey, just pay me in lunches. I don't need money, just send free lunches every day. That's my compensation, you know? And of course, to me, I would mentally budget a lunch being handled, and of course, my lunch money from my parents, I just use it for something else. So I had a thinking from different out. I use, you know, what I would say yearning for the lifestyle I wanted. And I'll pitch brands depending on that. You get me? So, for example, I like to travel and all this stuff. So I pitched the Caribbean Airlines because they're a travel brand.
Wow.
You know?
I mean,
so, and I found ideas or I found opportunities for them that they could take on. So I didn't just pitch something randomly. Hopefully they take it, but I pitched something that based off what opportunities they may be missing.
It's just amazing to me that, you know, as a sixth form guy, you there thinking about budgeting and, you know, ways to help others in that regard. I mean, somebody with that kind of mindset in sixth form is bound for greatness.
Well, it's different, you know, because among my, I would say, set of peers, I will be one of the outliers.
Yeah.
I have friends who know that Chris, hey, that's Chris, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and here's a funny story, I willingly missed one of my CAPE exams just to attend an internship interview for Red Stripe because they had a competition at the time, you know. I believe it was Smirnoff summer, and they wanted like summer interns to be going to Dream and Sumfest, and I saw it on Facebook as a competition.
Yeah.
So I entered. And of course, I got shortlisted, and a shortlisted became an interview. When I checked the date, now it collided with CAPE. Little I know that they were actual university final year students entering this thing. I was so oblivious to that fact because I just went in as you know, just me doing my thing, me learning, me wanting to learn as much, and just manifesting, say, hey, I'm going to get this job. And they were so impressed. They didn't know I was in sixth form. They thought I was in final year university like them. So it's really interesting because I didn't study marketing at all at UA. I mean, at high school, I studied computer science.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's really about, I guess, exposure to knowledge and how you implement the knowledge.
Well, yeah, that's definitely true. So one of our fans sent in a question a while ago, so I'm gonna flip the question and ask you: do you think that opportunities are limited in Jamaica? Opportunities for youth, especially?
It's a yes or no. What I mean by that, so let's decipher it based on principles. I like to use principles.
Yeah.
So when people talk about opportunities, it's not the case where you can send a resume and get a call for a job. Jobs are, I would say, relative to what a company is available. Meaning that if I don't start a party business, right?
Yeah.
I can't hire cashiers, I can't hire cooks, I can't hire accountants, I can't hire legals. Therefore, there's no jobs. So at the top level, opportunities are there for problem solvers, not necessarily persons who want to fill a cog. Our generation now has lived in through that cog system, especially our parents, where, you know, they send a resume to get a job. However, some parents do have a problem solving mindset, and they pass it on to their children, so they find that they would use, I would say, inheritance, their funds to, you know, make their money work for them.
Yeah.
But for young persons in Jamaica, our opportunity lies in how we can fix our community and then how you monetize that. You don't need to think big, but you have to think in community. Yeah. For example, there's a young man in my scheme, right? He realized that some students in the area didn't have, you know, laptops or tablets and everything. So what he did was he collaborated with the parents and said, hey, I'll willingly tutor them at his house, you know, 3-4 students a day, and go through the syllabus with them based on his experience, and he makes money through that. Wow. Granted, he's not a trained teacher, but he found the opportunity and he's solving problems. In the same breath, I know a young lady during the pandemic, I said transitioning from the pandemic now when parents are going back to work. But here's the flip side: kids are home. Yeah. Who looks out for them? So one young lady decided that, hey, I'll babysit the kids.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And in doing so, it's not only babysitting, she add other value. Hey, I'll teach them things that, uplift their educational acumen. So maybe they teach them, how to read, how to count, make it fun, make it engaging. But at the end of the day, you have to look beyond what outside teachers are telling you and look on your community. And of course, let's say you're privileged to have access to the internet, and I use the word privileged because not a lot of persons in Jamaica have access to the internet. But let's say you have access to the internet now. The question is what you use to consume. Do you consume content like, keeping up with the Kardashians versus something to learn? Yeah. So it's really about your motivation, but also your discipline. Yeah, things will come over time.
Yeah, man, and you're completely right. We often hear persons say, where there's a need in the community, there are opportunities to make money. So
go ahead. And then what's really important as well is you have to think of community as not you alone, but community as a group of people. Meaning that you may have an idea, but you alone can't execute it. So you find who are capable and put together resources and trust. Because at the end of the day, trust is the main thing as a currency. And you guys execute accordingly. So you don't need to be the brainchild and do everything. That's not real problem solving. You can pull together, different persons, different skill sets, different experiences, and say, hey, these are the things we're going to tackle, and these are the opportunities we can tackle together. Granted, some people may not feel motivated, some people may flake, but it's their idea. Yeah. You can't expect them to be as driven as you are. And you have to lead from the front.
Definitely. All right, so Chris, final question to you, bro. What advice do you have for young Caribbean entrepreneurs?
So my advice to young Caribbean entrepreneurs is to connect with other Caribbean entrepreneurs. So everybody knows the Silicon Valley, but I've been there, and it's not like a magical place that everything magically happens overnight. But what's really important in the Silicon Valley is they know each other.
Yeah. It's a community.
They know each other as a community. They know who's good at what. They know who's working on what. They know who is plugged into what. So they can be a part of the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So my advice to any Caribbean entrepreneur is to connect with other entrepreneurs in the Caribbean. Meaning that you can now expand your network beyond your country, beyond your scope of culture, beyond your scope of finance, because there's different value in different spaces. For example, I can sell a jerk chicken across in Jamaica, let's say $500 with two bread. Mm-hmm. But if I go to Trinidad, I can sell it equivalent to $2,000 because it's scarcity. Yep. Scarcity sells. Vice versa, there are different value perspective across the regions we can integrate. Yeah. And of course, if you come together as a community, things like travel will automatically reduce because it's going to cause a strain on we wanted to move beyond barriers. So that's my advice. You have to, connect with other Caribbean entrepreneurs. And if any Caribbean entrepreneur listening, they can connect with me on Twitter or Instagram. I'm very open. I like to reason. I like to pick ideas. I like to give solutions to things and problems people are working on, because at the end of the day, I like to pay it forward because that's how it works. A lot of, I would say, older, more mature, younger professionals, they help me. Yeah. And they will help me subtly, or they help me like a one-off conversation that I feel inspired and ready to take on the road. But to them, it's just a regular conversation. So I would love to pass things on to them like that. And of course, I've had help where professionals help me with introducing me to somebody, or help me with a plan, or help me with a pitch. It's all about collaboration and less about competition. Yeah, man. Because we as a region are together. Yeah. Versus Jamaica on its own is very weak. Yeah. So that's my thought. You have to collaborate and not compete.
I mean, that's very true, bro, and that's exactly what we are trying to do here at Unveil. We just want to get in touch with a lot of the entrepreneurs in the Caribbean, any creative, basically anybody with skill and talent, and we want to help them to be recognized. So let me shoot my shot here on behalf of the Unveil team, bro. How do you think Unveil can be a part of your business to help in any way?
All right, so you have a platform,
Yeah.
right? Use that platform for content. Create content where persons can consume and we recycle, but also you can repurpose that content nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Beyonce is the greatest businesswoman ever, and I respect her. What I mean by that is she did a Coachella performance, willingly took a lesser rate in exchange that she have full rights and ownership of her, performance clipping, and end up selling that to Netflix.
Wow.
Of course, that's a double whammy in terms of revenue streams, right? She worked once to get paid twice. She worked once to get paid twice, and of course multiple times. So your platform should be able to educate, inspire, but also bring them together. Meaning that when you have a guest on your thing, persons should be able to know where they are. Maybe they talk to them, maybe they pick their brain, and maybe it becomes aspirational. That hey, this is similar to you going on the Forbes talking to somebody, or you going on that show called again 100 Minutes. Are you talking to those famous person like Oprah? But you have to create an aspirational platform. You creating an aspirational platform now, it inspires younger youths who are not looking on the big, I would say, moguls like a Lee Chin or Usain Bolt, but they're looking on the guy who's trying, but they're making strides and they're being successful in their own way. Because sometimes not the Lee Chin inspiring, it's somebody to you, or you feel like they're normal to you, but when you talk to them, they're doing great things. So you feel that it's also possible. Because you may not have a conversation with a leech in their day-to-day, but you can find a regular youth, but if you talk to them, you realize they do great things. You might find that they have a farm, they have one taxi on the road, they have two business, but it doesn't look normal, it's not flashy. So you have to, make it aspirational. And then document it and preserve it, meaning that it shouldn't be hard for persons to find catalogs of the work. And of course, distribution is a major thing. How you distribute it, and what platforms, and how often, and where you used to promote it, and then definitely be consistent.
All right, bro. Well, thanks for the great advice, and thanks for taking this time out to talk to us here at Unveil Podcast, bro.
Thank you so much for the invitation again. I really appreciate it, and I really do. All the best on you guys' podcast. If you guys need any help or anything, let me know.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely keep in touch, Mr. Nunes.
All right. Thank you again.
Yeah, man. Have a good day.
All right.
And that is it for our feature today. Thanks again to Kristofferson Nunes. And you guys can check him out on Instagram and Twitter at Purple Cow Chris. Purple Cow KRIS. Instagram and Twitter. And of course, check out his business page as well, UCA Limited. Until next time, guys, make sure you keep it locked right here on the Unveil Podcast here on YouTube. Remember to send your questions in to me on Instagram at Unveil Caribbean, or you could send them to my personal account at official_Javon_Thomas. Until next time, see y'all later.
If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell to keep up to date.